So this is something I've genuinely only seen one tutorial for on controller, and I'll link to that in the description to give him credit since that's the second method I'm going to show you, but I have a couple of things to add to that method as well. So the first method is definitely the easiest since you don't really have to learn any timings. The only difference between the two in practice is that the second method can get you over the wall slightly quicker, but it's a trade-off in that if you mess it up, it's going to be a lot slower than the first method or even just climbing the wall normally. So the first method uses what's called a fatigue wall bounce, and I'm going to leave a great video in the description that goes into a lot more detail about what jump fatigue is and a lot of different ways you can abuse it. But for now, all you really need to know is that jump fatigue activates once you hit the ground after a jump, and it enables you to do what's called a fatigue wall bounce. And the two main differences between a normal wall bounce and a fatigue wall bounce is that one, you don't have to be in a downwards arc when you hit the wall, meaning you can be much closer to the wall when you jump, and two, you can hold any movement direction when you hit the wall and the wall bounce will still work, meaning you can hold forward and easily throw yourself straight up into the air and over the wall. So what we're going to do is jump, hit the ground without touching the wall, and then before the fatigue timer runs out, jump towards the wall, and while still holding forwards, jump when you hit the wall. And if you continue to hold forward, you'll see that this easily sends you over the wall. You can either do this right next to the wall by jumping once without touching the wall to activate fatigue, or if you're running up to the wall, just do a bunny hop and land just before you hit the wall. So like I said, there's not a whole lot to this first method, it's really just making sure you don't hit the wall on your first jump. So the second method is a little bit harder, but if you're already confident with wall bounces, you might actually find it really easy. And just like the other method, you can do this from standing or out of a slide jump. So the concept of this is super simple. It's just a normal wall bounce, and as soon as you hit the wall bounce, hold forward and look all the way down. And if you're fast enough, you should get over the wall. I will say the angle you approach the wall definitely makes a difference. In the original video, he says that you either need to be at a 15 or a 45 degree angle. But as far as I can tell, you can do it at a much wider range than this, including running straight at the wall. And since 90% of the time you're going to be approaching the wall head on, I think this is probably the best angle to practice. But if you're having trouble hitting it head on, try adjusting slightly to an off angle and see if this makes it any easier. I always use a sideways input when I wall bounce. If you're curious why, there's a video explaining it in the top right. But I have a theory that this might be what makes it possible to do this method coming from head on because of the added horizontal movement. So you might want to try holding sideways as you hit the wall if that's not something you already do. Anyway, I hope I explained this properly. If I did a terrible job, just let me know where you're getting confused and I'll try my best to answer in the comments.